Am I the asshole for dropping out as maid of honor 2 months before the wedding because the groom is a cheater? I am 27 and have been friends with Beth, who is 28, for about 9 years after a mutual friend introduced us. Beth has always been a little difficult to chat with because she struggles to hold conversations, but we have shared some genuinely good memories together regardless. Beth has been with her fiancé Ben for 8 years. He is the first person she had a relationship with. Ben has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and says he struggles with borderline personality disorder as well. Beth is a bit anxious, but has never really struggled with mental health issues. Ben has a history of following thousands of content creators on social media, and Beth even caught him saving their content while lying next to her in bed. She brought it up, and he apologized and said he would stop. I believe he unfollowed maybe a couple of hundred accounts, but I think that was it. Before me, Beth had a different girl she wanted as her maid of honor before she was even engaged. Then one day that girl texted Beth and said she did not want to be her maid of honor, that she thought they were really close, but they were not, and that Beth was hard to talk to. Beth was devastated, and she and I became better friends because of it. When she asked me to be her maid of honor over a year ago, I said yes. My partner and I were also good friends with Ben, and we did trips together as a group of 4. Until 6 months ago, when Beth received a message from a girl claiming that Ben had slept with her. I urged Beth to look into it, and it turned out to be true. Ben had been unfaithful to Beth while they were engaged and actively planning their wedding with a year left to go. Ben was apologetic and said he still wanted to get married and that they could do couples counseling to get through the infidelity. They said they would use the wedding as a celebration of how far they had come. I expressed to Beth that I thought she deserved better and that the wedding could be postponed or canceled to give them real time to heal. She did not want to move anything. She has even mentioned that me not inviting Ben out anymore is affecting her, when the truth is I simply do not want to be around him. She also told me not to tell my own partner what happened, because she did not want Ben to lose any friends. I found that deeply unreasonable. This has driven a wedge between us. My father cheated on my mother, and the pain I saw her go through is not something I would wish on anyone. Beth was given a clear sign not to marry this man, and she is choosing to go ahead anyway. I expressed to her early on that I was no longer happy or excited for the wedding, and that I could not be the person she needed me to be. But she kept me on as maid of honor, and I went ahead and planned her bachelorette. We have grown distant since then, because it all feels deeply misaligned with my values. I am considering stepping down and letting her mother take over. I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder myself, and I genuinely struggle to put on a happy face when I do not feel it. I really do not want to be fake on her wedding day. Am I the asshole? That one is heavy. The next story is about a woman who just wants to feel safe and comfortable in her own home, and the family that makes that impossible. Am I the asshole for not letting family stay with us after the baby is born? I am 29 and currently 35 weeks pregnant with my husband, who is 39, and my first baby. None of our family lives near us. The closest is my dad, who is 90 minutes away by car, and my husband's parents are 3.5 hours away by car. When our son is born, I would love for our families to come visit and meet him, but I do not want anyone staying at our house for multiple days, especially his family. I am a very neat and tidy person, and they are not. When they stay with us, they treat the house very poorly. They leave food, trash, and water glasses everywhere. They do not pick up after themselves, and they are very loud and demanding. His mother has to drink every night until she passes out somewhere, and then someone has to carry her to bed. His father has made comments I find deeply offensive on a regular basis. Things like commenting on my body and my breasts, making explicit jokes about me and my husband, and making very loud, inappropriate comments in front of large groups of people, including strangers. He has also walked in on me changing multiple times, which he claims were accidents. Because of all of this, I do not feel comfortable having them in my home while I am recovering from delivering a baby. I also plan to breastfeed, and I will not feel comfortable doing so with my father-in-law around, given everything I have described. My husband says family should be able to stay with us because they are family, but I am holding my ground. His family is very wealthy and travels constantly, so money is not an issue. I do not see why they cannot stay at a hotel for a few days while visiting their grandson. My dad is completely fine with not staying with us and is not the issue here. It is only the in-laws. Am I the asshole? Boundaries matter, especially in those first weeks. The next one is about a father who has been crossing lines for years and finally went too far. Am I the asshole for not co-signing a mortgage for my dad? I am 32 and a woman living at home. My dad has been taking money from me since I was 13 and earning $10 an hour. I now work at a hospital and make good money. I am saving for my own home one day and making other investments. My dad thinks I will never own a home in my life. Every 6 months he finds a house that he thinks is a great deal, it never is, and asks me to co-sign a loan with him. I always say no, and he basically tells me to go away. Recently, my mom is getting an $85,000 payout. I saw this coming, and right on schedule my dad told me I need to co-sign a mortgage with him so they can invest this money into a house. It ended up in a huge argument, and at the end of it, he said I was lucky he did not spit in my face and called me an ungrateful name I will not repeat here. I stayed up all night stressed and was having heart palpitations at work the next morning. I do not think it is right for him to ask me to put a $500,000 loan under my name and then say something like that to me for simply saying no to something that would be financially devastating to me. Am I the asshole? Would you do it for your parent? No child should have to carry that weight. The next story is much lighter, but it had everyone talking. Am I the asshole for looking up the mugshot of the guy my friend had just met when he went missing at 3 a.m.? This involves me, who is 26, and my former friend who is 25, and who I will call Z. We are both in medical school. Z grew up in a very sheltered environment. This is her first time living on her own, and she is very socially unaware and impulsive. Z has very low self-confidence and tends to get involved with any man who gives her attention. She matched with a guy online and invited him over to her apartment after only talking for a month. According to her, they went on a date and he said he was going to go to a bar and drink. It got to 2 a.m. and he did not come back. She went to the police to file a missing person report since he was not picking up his phone. It turned out he had been arrested for public indecency. She went and bailed him out, let him stay at her apartment, then drove him to the airport, after which he blocked her and cut off all contact. Naturally, I was curious, and my friends and I looked up his mugshot to see who this guy was. That was literally all we did. One of my friends asked who he was, and we looked at it together, and I sent her his name, since Z had already told everyone her story herself. Now Z is blaming me and calling me a terrible friend for looking up his mugshot, even though she had already gone around telling everyone her business. Am I the asshole? Curiosity is not a crime. The next one is about a very real anxiety disorder and a very unfunny joke. Am I the asshole for making my friend's boyfriend feel like a creep? This is a throwaway account. I am 25, and a few friends and I went to our friend's place for drinks and a games night. Her boyfriend is 29. For context, I have obsessive-compulsive disorder, and one of my main anxieties is contamination. I will always make my own food and drinks, and if someone else makes them, I will always watch them do it. If I do not, I simply cannot eat or drink what they made. I know it is irrational, and I know my friends would never do anything to harm me, but that is just how my brain works. A bit into the night, her boyfriend came out of the kitchen with drinks for everyone and handed them out. He gave me one, and I immediately knew I was not going to drink it. I did not want to be rude, so I took it without saying anything. About 10 minutes later, he noticed I had not touched it and asked if it was okay. My friend then mentioned that I am particular about people making my drinks if I do not watch. He then made a joke saying he had not put anything in it that I would not like, probably, and winked and laughed. He clearly thought it was hilarious. To me, that is not funny at all. I said, "What a weird thing to say," took the drink to the kitchen and poured it down the sink. I was going to make myself another one, but at that point my anxiety was already climbing, and I decided to stop drinking for the night. I went back and tried to carry on normally. The next day I got a text from my friend saying I had been rude and wasteful and was trying to make her boyfriend look like a predator in front of everyone when he would never do something like that. She said he was offended and that I had made the rest of the night awkward. She said I should apologize. He made a couple more comments through the rest of the evening, like asking if I wanted to throw out the shared bowl of chips too. Do I owe him an apology? Am I the asshole? Your boundaries are always valid. The next story is about a minor fender bender that turned into something much bigger. Am I the asshole for reporting a student who rear-ended me to my school's police? I am 20 and attend a very small college in my area. Most of us know each other. One of my friends does not have her license and usually walks to school. Around 1 p.m. on Thursdays, I have a 90-minute break between classes. I live about an hour away, so there is no point in going home. I picked my friend up because we had the same next class, and we were sitting in my car listening to music before going in. About 5 minutes before we needed to head in, I got rear-ended by a younger guy who also goes to my school. It was a light tap, but completely avoidable. He had driven into the parking spot way too fast, stopped just before hitting my car, and then moved up again too fast. Me and my friend got out, and so did he. I looked at the back of my car, which I had only gotten about a month ago, and it looked completely fine. He did not apologize. The first thing he said when he got out was that he did not feel anything. I asked for his insurance just in case, but told him that if my car drove fine, I would not worry about it. He refused to give me his insurance information. He said he would only give it to me if there was actually a problem with my car, and insisted I take it for a drive first. I could not because my next professor closes the door when class starts. I told him to forget it and went to class. I drove the car home and it was fine. But when I got home, I received a text from someone asking if my friend and I were okay after the accident, which I had not mentioned to anyone. It turned out he had told people about it himself, and had called me a very unpleasant name just for getting out of my car to check for damage. I texted him asking for his insurance information again. He refused. The next day I went to the school officer and reported him. Apparently there had been multiple hit and runs in the parking lot already suspected to be him. He is now facing possible expulsion and legal consequences. I feel like I was responsible at first, but one of my other friends thinks I should have handled it differently, since my car ended up being fine. Standing your ground is not wrong. The next one is about a friendship being tested every single time there is a party. Would I be the asshole if I start calling my friend's boyfriend a name every time he tries to bully me into doing things I do not want to do? I have a friend I really care about, and she has finally found a man who treats her well. I am genuinely happy for her. But he has a habit of picking at and bullying people for behaviors he doesn't like or that do not match his own. I have an alternative look, and he was constantly making vegan and lesbian jokes. I am a queer person who eats meat, and he is not very accepting of queer people. I got him to stop by making him explain every single joke, since they did not apply to me and I did not find them funny. He did not enjoy having to explain them. My current issue is that any time we get together to party or go to an event, he believes it is, quote, lame to stay sober as a designated driver. At the last party, it really escalated. He called me names, called me a party pooper, and even physically tried to force a shot into my hands. My friend explained it is apparently something they do where she is from, trying to get the designated driver drunk. I have strong personal feelings about driving while intoxicated. Someone important to me drove drunk with me in the car once, and we barely escaped a very serious accident. I have made all of this clear. I have said it is not okay and I will not change my mind. He will not drop it. So my question is, next time we go out, would I be the asshole if I meet him at his level and call him an offensive name every single time he tries to bully me into drinking before getting behind the wheel? And if he pushes back, would I be wrong to make it public in front of the group that I have said no and he refuses to accept it? I might be the asshole here because I know taking it public could make me look like the difficult one, make people uncomfortable, and potentially cost my friend her relationship. I have tried talking to him one-on-one and it has gotten me nowhere. I am just exhausted from being the only one who is uncomfortable while my boundaries are constantly disrespected. Would I be the asshole? Some people just will not listen until you speak their language. The next one is about pad thai, a potluck, and a stranger who made it everyone else's problem. Am I the asshole for not being considerate of my friend's boyfriend's allergies? First, some context. I understand that nut allergies are very common in some parts of the world, but where I live in Southeast Asia, it is simply not a common allergy at all. The most common allergy here is seafood. Before this incident, I did not know a single person allergic to nuts. Nuts are also a very standard ingredient in our local cuisine. We had a potluck with friends. We are all in our early 20s. I brought pad thai, one of my favorite dishes. It contains nuts. My friends love it too. I told the group chat I would be bringing it and no one had any issues. One of my friends brought her boyfriend. He is mixed heritage and this was our first time meeting him. He seemed very offended seeing the pad thai with nuts on it, because he is allergic. He implied that I was inconsiderate for bringing something that was a, quote, common danger that could harm others. I apologized and said I had not known about his allergy. He said I should have known it is a common allergy that should always be avoided at group events. I pointed out that our group had eaten at a Thai restaurant together in the past, and no one had objected when I posted in the group chat that I would be bringing pad thai. My friend, his girlfriend, admitted she had simply forgotten to tell us about his allergy, or had forgotten that pad thai contains peanuts. That caused a bit of an argument between them. There were plenty of other foods he could eat at the potluck. The evening eventually got better after an awkward start. The next day we received a message in the group chat saying please be considerate of others and avoid nuts next time. Update. I spoke to my friend, and it turns out the word boyfriend might be too strong. They had only just started meeting in person after connecting online. Apparently he got into a fight about this incident with her, and they stopped seeing each other. I have no idea why I had to be caught in the middle of that. But that is that. Am I the asshole? Some people truly cannot read the room. The next one is short, absolutely wild, and the trash can story will live in your head, rent-free. Am I the asshole for yelling at my girlfriend because she would not let me use the trash can after she cleaned the house? For some context, my girlfriend is absolutely obsessed with the house being clean, and she spends a lot of time on it. I respect that after everything is clean, I will try to keep things as tidy as possible for as long as possible. But when I wanted to use the trash can, she said she wanted to, and I quote, enjoy her trash can for a day. She expected it to stay empty until at least the following day. Does that not defeat the entire point of what a trash can is for? We live in an apartment, and she expected me to walk to the trash room outside to throw something away. We had a big argument over this, and I just wanted to see what others think. For those wondering, I was throwing away a small takeout box with no food left in it. Am I the asshole? The trash can has spoken. The next story is about a group dinner, a very picky eater, and one roast that landed differently than expected. Am I the asshole for roasting a friend who always complains about the food? I have a group of friends who enjoy going out occasionally to try new restaurants. Sometimes a place is really good, sometimes it is mediocre. But none of us think we are restaurant critics. We just eat the food and come back if we like it. We have a mutual friend I will call Dylan. We invited him 3 or 4 times and no longer invite him unless the outing is specifically not food-related, like fishing or hiking. Without even having to discuss it, we all collectively stopped inviting him and his girlfriend to dinner because we knew he would ruin the vibe by complaining the entire time. And he will complain about almost anything. For example, we went to a ramen place and he just moaned about how weird the soup tasted. Too sweet, too salty, not bold enough. Even though I had the same thing and it was perfectly fine. He would constantly compare everything to his favorite dishes from his home cuisine and talk about how much better they were. So we stopped inviting him to eat. Anyway, while on a hike, Dylan wanted to invite all of us to an Indian restaurant he had recently found. During the conversation, when he mentioned that he liked every single item on the menu, I threw in a light roast and said something like, nah, I'm pretty sure we can still find something for you to complain about. He took huge offense. His girlfriend also took offense. Both of their moods shifted for the rest of the night. The rest of us still had a great time. Am I the asshole? I genuinely did not think my comment was mean-spirited. Most people can be picky about certain things, but there is a respectful and normal way to go about it. Fair point, honestly. The next one is about a really nice room, a sister who would not leave, and a conversation that spiraled. Am I the asshole for telling my sister she overstayed her welcome? I am 22 and live at home with my parents on weekends, but work in another city, about 150 miles away, Monday through Thursday. So I am not home during the week. When I am home, I really value having my own space. I will be honest, I have a great room. I spent a lot of time working very hard to build a solid setup with a good sound system, desk, chair, home theater, couch, and everything else. My sister, who is 23, asked if she could use my room to work on her computer for school. I said yes, but told her it was only until I got home, and that after that I would need my room to myself. When I got back, she was still there, now on a video call with her boyfriend, just chatting pretty loudly. I was tired, and trying to set up a record player I had picked up on the way home that was not cooperating. I needed to focus. I said, "Hey, can you please leave my room now?" She said she would be out in 5 minutes. Fine. 15 minutes went by. She was still there, still on the call, still making noise. So I said again, "Please leave my room. You have overstayed your welcome." She looked at me like I was out of my mind and made a comment about how when I come home, I do not make time for family, and that it, quote, comes off a certain way. That felt completely unrelated, and honestly like a jab. Later I texted her, "Sorry if your feelings were hurt, but when I asked you to leave my room, please do so. I did not want you gone entirely. I was just trying to focus, and could not with all the chatter." She replied, "It is the way you communicate these things, not what you are asking. I cannot read your mind, and did not realize it was keeping you from thinking clearly." But I had told her I needed the room. You do not need to read minds to hear someone ask you twice to leave and think, "Okay, I should probably go." Now she is saying the issue is my tone, not the fact that she stayed in my room after being asked repeatedly to leave. I think she brought up the family time thing specifically to make me feel guilty. Am I the asshole? Setting a boundary is not the same as being cold. The next one is about a teenager who just wants a fair deal at home. Am I the asshole for arguing with my mom about it not being my duty to clean? For context, I am 18. My mom cleans the house every single day because there is always a mess. And why is there always a mess? My two teenage brothers, who are 13 and 14, are constantly leaving crumbs on kitchen counters, things all over the floor, and chairs on the lawn outside. My mom started accusing me of being selfish and lazy for not helping clean around the house. But I always clean up after myself without fail. I never leave any mess that needs to be cleaned. I also clean the kitchen from time to time just to help her, but that goes completely unappreciated. My brothers absolutely do not clean up after themselves. It is as if they expect everyone else to do it for them, despite being the sole source of the mess. And when they do occasionally clean, my mom makes a huge deal out of it, as if they are the most helpful people in the world. When my mom called me lazy and selfish, I argued that she and I should not be the ones cleaning. It should be my brothers, who are old enough to clean up after themselves. My mom got angry and said my dad would be talking to me about how I acted. Am I the asshole, or am I justified? Basic fairness should not require an argument. The next story is about a husband who just wanted to be included, and why that is not too much to ask. Am I the asshole for telling my wife I want to be included in plans she makes? 2 days ago, my wife was trying to make a hair appointment, but could not find availability near us. I told her I was heading to a doctor's appointment the next day in our old neighborhood if she wanted to try to get an appointment around there during my visit. An hour later, she told me she had already booked one in a completely different neighborhood, hours before mine. I was tired and did not think much of it before bed. But the next morning when it was time to leave for her appointment, I realized I was essentially driving her to her appointment, waiting in the car for 45 minutes, and then killing an hour before my own appointment in another neighborhood. I was quiet on the drive because I was a little grumpy and not fully caffeinated yet. When she asked later what was wrong, I told her it was not a huge deal and I was already moving on from it. But what had bothered me was that she had made a plan that required me to sit in a car and wait for her without asking if I was okay with it. I understood she had been trying to get a spot, and that was probably the only one available. But I would have appreciated being brought into the conversation instead of simply being expected to go along with it. Something like, "Hey, this is the only appointment I could get, but it is before yours and in a different neighborhood. Would you mind waiting a bit?" That would have been enough. She told me she did not understand why she needed to ask my permission, and that as her husband it was strange that I would even have a problem with it. That hurt. It made me feel like she does not see me as my own person, just as someone who is there to go along with whatever she needs. This is also not the first time she has expressed that, and the last time involved a much bigger ask than just a hair appointment. Am I the asshole? Feeling seen in a relationship is not asking too much. The next one is about a wedding, a favor, and a request that had serious nerve. Am I the asshole for agreeing to drive my parents to a wedding I am not invited to, but refusing to get an Airbnb with them? My parents are invited to my second cousin's wedding. I am not. To be fair, I am not close to that cousin. We have only seen each other a few times and just follow each other on social media. So I understand why I was not invited. Still, it stings a little because most of my first cousins, who I am close to, are invited. It feels like they will all have this big family moment without me and my siblings, who also were not invited. But we will have other opportunities. Now here's the situation. My parents asked if my partner and I could drive them to the wedding, which is in an area fairly far from where they live. My mom has a license, but cannot drive long distances for medical reasons, and my dad is too anxious to drive far. I said okay. But then they also suggested we all get an Airbnb together. That is where it started to feel really strange. They want us to stay in the same rental while my family is at the wedding next door. We would just be sitting there while everyone else celebrates. On top of that, they originally asked my partner instead of me directly, which felt like they already knew the request was a bit much. I decided we could drive them there, but we would not stay overnight. I can accept not being invited to the wedding, but I do not want to sit nearby watching everyone get ready and celebrate a ceremony I am not part of. Now they keep messaging me about how there are no taxis that could pick them up the morning after. Am I the asshole? The audacity of some requests is truly something. And finally, the most low-stakes power struggle you will hear today. Am I the asshole for not looking at my teacher while signing the attendance sheet? I am a college student, and I believe my instructor is on a power trip. For context, he is extremely strict compared to other professors, often in ways that feel unwarranted. He is known for being passive-aggressive and prideful, which feels a little rich coming from someone who was called into the administration office for teaching the wrong course material for an entire semester. College has not been the easiest experience for me, and my performance has dropped significantly compared to how I was in high school, where I graduated with awards and medals. Now I can barely get myself out of bed to attend class on time. However, in his class specifically, I have perfect attendance and strong performance. I made sure of that, because of his reputation and his threats on the first day about failing students for absences. Here's what happened. I arrived late for the first time in his class. I heard him say, "Last call," when he called my friend's name. I assumed he was doing a final roll call before class formally started. I followed my friend, and another girl came up at the same time, so there were 3 of us in line. I figured the other girl was probably also late, and I was just doing what everyone else was doing. I was ready to write my name on slot number 16, which is always my class number and never changes. Then the other girl left, and he asked me with an attitude what I wanted. I answered that I was there for the attendance. He confirmed my name and my slot number, which he always does, as if we do not already know our own assigned numbers. I nodded and started writing, since he always says this. I was in the middle of writing the comma after my last name when he suddenly snapped and said I was not listening to him and that he was not done talking. I looked up, confused, and stopped writing, and then this man doubled down and snatched the paper from me. He went on a whole speech about how I had disrespected him after he had graciously allowed me to sign in despite being late, and that I had ignored him while he was giving me instructions and had not even asked permission to write in the first place. Let me replay that interaction. He had given me the go-ahead, I had acknowledged him with a nod, and I stopped writing the moment he spoke again. I tried to explain it was simply a misunderstanding, and he treated it like it was an act of deliberate disrespect. I nodded through the rest of his lecture just to get through it, but I was still very upset. Am I the asshole? Not every battle is worth fighting, but some people make it impossible not to. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, you already know what to do. Hit that like button, drop your verdict in the comments for every single story, and subscribe so you never miss a new video. We post new Reddit stories every single day.